All right, let's bring in Steamboat Institute Blankley Fellow and Restoring America editor at the Washington Examiner, Kaylee McGhee White. Kaylee, good morning. Great to see you as always. You just heard Brooke mention the latest New York Times Siena College polls, and that's really the big story of the day because they do show that Kamala Harris's hot streak is coming to an end. In two areas of note within this polling, a majority of people say they want a change candidate, and a majority of people say that Donald Trump is just that over Kamala Harris. The other area is 47% of likely voters view Kamala Harris as too liberal compared to 32% who see Donald Trump as too conservative. So what do you think about that, what the polling shows, and where the race stands right now?
Well, it shows that her basement strategy has not worked, Carly. Remember, she's avoided the press for this long in the hopes of avoiding tough questions about her past record. She doesn't want to have to explain her policy flip-flops. And of course, at the DNC, you had several major Democratic figures get up on that stage and try to portray Kamala Harris as the change agent, despite her record being tied with President Joe Biden's. This strategy has not worked at all, and these polls simply confirm that. And going into this debate, that's why it's going to be so important for her to make a better impression than she already has. So she's actually raised the stakes for herself by hiding from the press and by hiding from the public.
Yeah, well, Trump spokesperson Jason Miller is pleased with this new round of polling. He responded to it saying the honeymoon is officially over. It's still a tight race, though. It's anyone's to win or lose. And the New York Times puts it this way. Bringing out Mr. Trump's most self-destructive instincts is a priority for Ms. Harris, as is coming across as cool-headed and presidential. The Trump camp has a straightforward goal for the debate to force Ms. Harris both to own her partnership with the unpopular Mr. Biden and to take responsibility for the parts of his presidency that voters are unhappiest about. So it sounds like in terms of strategy, Kaylee, she's playing on emotion. He's focusing more on policy. So how do you think that will play out?
Well, we should make a bet, Carly, to see how long it takes her to mention convicted felon within this debate, because I'm sure that's going to be a key part of her strategy here. She's always done better when she's serving as a prosecutor, when she's the one asking these questions. This is why her campaign made a big deal about the muted mics. They really wanted that moment of her pushing back on Trump. Those rules have not been changed, though. She will be dealing with muted mics, which means that she is going to have to be the one to answer questions. She is going to have to explain her policy flip-flops. And as we know, she has tried to avoid doing so. And again, she's put herself at a disadvantage here. If she were out holding press conferences regularly, if she were speaking to the media on a regular basis, she might have more practice answering the questions that she will be asked on Tuesday night. But instead, she walks into this, at a disadvantage because of her own strategy.
Yeah, that's a good point. She's dealing with it by doing the debate prep in Pittsburgh, and apparently there's a person acting as Trump, even wearing the same type of suit that Donald Trump wears and long tie. So we'll see if that replaces going out speaking to the media, the American people, and taking those crossfire questions more aggressively. Only time will tell, and we will learn on Tuesday. Senator Bernie Sanders was on one of the Sunday shows yesterday, and he made an admission that likely won't help Kamala Harris in the end. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Do you think that she is abandoning her progressive ideals?
No, I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election.
So you can translate that to she's still as progressive as ever. She's just pretending not to be in order to win the election. What do you think about that?
Right, saying the quiet part out loud. Yeah. And again, the polls that you mentioned earlier actually confirm that voters recognize this and that voters do not believe that she has changed her progressive values at all. As you mentioned, more than half think that she is far too liberal for their liking. And she is. She was rated the most liberal senator in the Democratic Party for years. And again, she herself is on record admitting that her values have not changed. So this is the point that Trump needs to hit home during the debate. He has a very simple task ahead of him. And the question is really the same under Kamala as it was under Biden, which is, are you better off now than you were under my presidency? Because if you're not, she's going to make that so much worse with her radical record.
Yeah, and one day before the debate and 56 days before the presidential election, there is finally a policy page on Kamala Harris's campaign website. So if you're curious, you can go on and check that out. Kaylee, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.